Alright, first question of the day. No Name asks, when are you going to release the Answers segment of the Q&A special? Right now. Hey guys, welcome to the Answer segment of the Q&A special. This is for reaching 250 subs on the channel. I really cannot thank you guys enough. This whole thing has been a hobby for me, so to see it escalate to this level is pretty insane actually. I will keep making videos, certainly, but I'm going to hold off on subscriber specials until probably 500 if we can ever make it there. Because if we make it that far, you guys deserve it. But until then, subscriber milestones are just sort of arbitrary like that. But let's get started with the real questions. Tanner Haney asks, am I your favorite clarinet player? Son, we've been over this. Go practice and stop begging for validation. Also, yes, you are. Next up, we have JC Ayala. Sorry if I mispronounced that. Big fan of this channel. I'm a big fan of yours, so shout out there. I got a good one. Want to collaborate? Guaranteed you live far off from me in the Lone Star State. Haha, just kidding. When are you going to do a review on a working French horn? Now that's a good question there. Admittedly, I have played the horn. I've played a working one a few times. I'm, as you saw in the excerpt I posted, I'm not that great at it, but I'm not horrid, so once I've got my research done, maybe I'll do a review on one. Maybe I'll like borrow my friend's horn or something and do a quick review on it, but I mean, in regards to collaborations in general, they sound fun, but they're so stupidly hard to plan out that I don't think I would ever do one unless I knew the person in real life and could meet up with them. So, that was a pretty lengthy answer, but next question, I guess. KrakenGD comes with a few questions in mind. Number 1, what's your name? Number 2, face reveal, question mark? Number 3, what instrument group do you play? Following these antics in parentheses are the words real questions now. Number 1, any beginner or intermediate cheap trumpets that you would recommend? Well, if you'll hold on 1 second, I will get my student model trumpet out. This is a Yamaha YTR 2335, a pretty nice trumpet considering how well it has held up after all of its previous owners and of course me. I kind of mistreated it when I first was playing trumpet. I've had this for 3 years, maybe 4 by now. Not for my entire trumpet career, but for a majority of it, and it has served me well. I might be selling it soon, that all depends, but you could get the YTR 2330, which is the slightly more, I guess, modern equivalent. The only difference I can really find is that the lead pipe's a little different, the bell's a little different, and this brace isn't here for whatever reason that may be, but that is, I guess this model's been actually discontinued, so if you were to get it, you'd have to get it used. There's nothing bad about that, because this is a very used trumpet, and it has done pretty well. Getson trumpets, even though their trumpets are a little weird, their student horns are phenomenal. I've heard a Getson student model trumpet in my band. One of our band members has just this amazing tone on it. And then recently he switched over to a Yamaha student model because his Getson was just too old and wasn't working. And I don't think it was Yamaha actually, I don't remember what it was, but it didn't have that same tone. I almost didn't recognize him when he started playing. But the Getson tone is more cornet-like. If that's what you're looking for, go right ahead and buy it. Also, the Jean Paul TR330 and TR430 are also of reputable quality. However, if you are paranoid about sort of Chinese-made instruments or anything of that ilk, I'd stay away from it because they are just Chinese instruments that have been quality tested in the US, but they are a cheap and viable option. So if that's not your thing, there are the other options I gave. What I wouldn't trust are some of the more ancient Bach student model trumpets. A lot of my friends have them, and they seem to deteriorate a lot over time. I, a lot of them look bad, and they don't play very well. My friends who play them have their tuning slides way out to like here. With minimal denting, the notes are very unresponsive and hard to lock in, which is interesting because Bach makes some of the most amazing professional trumpets. I remember playing a Strad in 8th grade, after, mind you, turning one down for this horn. I suppose it was because, it was during band class and normally I would play this, but I played my friend's very heavily used Strad, and it was just incredible. It was sort of that eureka moment. Everything just worked, and it sounded beautiful. I still can't believe I turned a Strad down for the Yamaha. Oh, I'll get to this trumpet a little while later. But the same cannot be said with these Bachs about their student model lines. So I give you a couple options there. You can pick or choose, or you could just listen to somebody else's advice. I'm not a professional trumpet tester, so I wouldn't know. Anyways, question 2. Any tips for reaching a double C? I've only been playing for about a month and I can get a high C above the staff. Well, if you can get a high C above the staff after a month of playing, that's honestly incredible. But man, just hold off on range for a bit. Don't do what I did and try to force it all. Just work on something like tone or articulation and let range come naturally, as it will, and always does. If you must, there are a few things you could do. You could do chromatic exercises. You could also do slurs, lip slurs. Or you could do octave jumps. All of these can increase your range, but they will also focus more on flexibility and being able to access all of the registers. So, a few tips for you there. And KrakenGD's final question is, suck or no? The problem with this question is that by answering this, I would be implying that there is any possibility whatsoever of me getting the suck. So, stupid question. Mr. Paul Ryan has a couple of questions for us. Number 1, do you compose or just play? Well, I do muck around with the occasional composition, but unless I'm composing chorales, fanfares, or something else incredibly simplistic, I'm better off as just an arranger. I've had a couple of mildly successful compositions, for instance my 100 subscriber special, but typically the extent of my music notation is just arranging existing tunes for my multi-tracks. Next up, Mr. Ryan asks, what's your favorite brass concerto or concertino? So I absolutely love the Haydn Trumpet Concerto, the second movement mainly, but to be honest, I haven't listened to nearly enough brass concertos to form a proper judgment and answer that question properly. And finally, he asks, where do you expect music to take you in the future? Personally, I don't see myself becoming a professional musician. I do want to have it in my life to some extent, and I'm not going to end up selling my instruments or anything anytime soon, but I'll most likely end up majoring in medicine and probably settling for a minor in music performance. My good friend Mega Star Wars Rocks 99 asks, when is Samuel Plays Woodwinds coming? Yeah, just as soon as I can get more than a scale out on the clarinet. That's only low G to middle G. And then there's the break after middle B. And then there's learning how to play any note at all on a flute or an oboe. Yeah, I'd rather not go there. I'll just stick to brass. Right after him is a special request from one of his friends who I guess doesn't have a YouTube channel or something because she requested that he ask this for her. Who is the Elvis Presley multi-track video dedicated to? So for those of you who don't know, that was my first multi-track on the channel. I played Can't Help Falling in Love, and I actually dedicated that piece to someone. You can see that in the comments, or not in the comments, in the description. I actually put that. So, funny story. I had a thing at the time for the girl who sat one chair down from me in band, and I played that piece in her name, I guess. I don't think she watches my videos. Tausif Ish, sorry, I know I butchered that. You can crucify me later. Asks, what age did you begin playing at? Well, I began playing, in one sense of the word, at age 10, but I had to miss half of band practices, which happened twice a week, because of other things, and I never used my trumpet outside of school, so basically it got taken out of its case once a week. 6th grade, after I transferred to a different school, was a similar story, except I didn't have to miss band practices, so I was able to take my trumpet out of its case twice a week. And it was that band teacher there that sort of opened my eyes to music, and I actually started practicing, and in 7th grade, I guess, I truly started playing in one sense of the word. He also asks, were you forced to play the recorder way back in 3rd grade? As a matter of fact, I was just in 4th grade, and believe it or not, as astounding as it may sound, I managed to be terrible at it. Another question from this kind lad. You like jazz? Barry the Bumblebird sure does. How about we stop right there? But yes, as a matter of fact, I do like jazz. I only started this year, which is pretty late, but I really do like jazz. His final question is more of a challenge. Can you circle breathe yet? I go about 7 million cents flat. Pretty good, am I right? You and me both. Yeah, I'll hold off on that for a while. Mr. Draw and Animate asks, what's your favorite food? I'm going to stick to a classic on this one and say mac and cheese because you really just cannot top it. It's been my favorite food probably for about a decade now, and I don't know, nothing's ever replaced it, I guess. No Name is back with a couple questions for us. When you're older, do you want a music-related career? As I said, no, but I mean, it's all based on how well I play. I guess if I'm a powerhouse on trumpet by senior year of high school, I'll consider it, I suppose. Aside from that, probably not. He also asks, what are your hobbies? Well, but in all seriousness, I participate in a lot of math competitions, and I go biking, and I draw occasionally, but I'm not much of a hobby man just because this baby's my main hobby. You don't need any other hobbies. And No Name wraps up his questions with, what YouTubers do you watch? Well, I watch Christopher Bill, Trent Hamilton, Horn Trader, Canadian Brass, and Lucky Chops. In case you can't tell, those are all brass YouTubers. Maybe if I've got some downtime, I'll watch a little I Hate Everything. You know, his videos are pretty humorous, or maybe the occasional iDubbbz video. I've sort of gotten burnt out with him, but I mean, he's a fun lad to watch, I suppose. Recon47, pretty cool guy, asks, can you play anything with strings? Does the hair tie I used to put on the 3rd slide count as a string? I'm kidding. Nah, I wish. I'm considering sort of fiddling with guitar a little this summer, but I really can't do string instruments. He also asks, can you do the mask off challenge? Is that a dead meme I smell there? Mr. Wizard Knight asks, are you looking forward to seeing Spider-Man Homecoming? Nope. I'm not much of a moviegoer or a superhero man myself, so no, not really. Sorry. Jeff Young comes in with a question. Why so serious? Well, Jeff, if you watch the older videos of mine, their intros epitomize the reasons why I am so serious. Jake is Awesome 04 asks, how much wood could a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck ascended to the ethereal plane? I'll get back to you as soon as I can find that kind of woodchuck. YouTube user This Dude asks, how long have you been playing trumpet for? Well, I'm now wrapping up my 5th year in just a couple of months now, but it's only my 3rd year taking it seriously at all, so you can choose which definition of playing you like. Mr. Liam Elion asks, what are your favorite albums and who are your favorite players? I'm going to be cliche and say Canadian Brass Takes Flight and Canadian Brass Perfect Landing. They're good albums, what can I say? As for favorite players, again, everyone in the Canadian Brass. But as for trumpet specifically, I absolutely love Maurice André's tone. Alison Balsam and Ryan Anthony are both phenomenal as well. These are all, by the way, good resources for piccolo trumpet, if that's what you're looking for. With low brass, I listen to Joao Lopes on trombone, Dave Childs and David Worden on euphonium, and Oystein Bodsvik, I'm so sorry, on tuba. I'm sure I butchered that name, but he is an incredible tuba player and also well worth a listen, so there's a few suggestions for you. Good friend Mikey Blond comes in with a question. Are you bringing out the big guns today? That is a deep cut reference right there. I applaud you for that one. I guess you're a bigger fan than I anticipated. Thanks, man. Joshua Millet, another good friend, asks, when should we be expecting a coming out video? So, I actually haven't had the courage to tell anyone yet, so you guys are going to be the first to know, I guess, but I'm straight. I know, big surprise there. Anyways, hope you liked that video, Josh. Love you too. Frequent commenter on my videos, EnglishTMTB. He has a lot of good insight, so you can speak to him if you want. He says, okay, a couple serious ones and a couple of fun ones. Number 1, under serious. What are your favorite books of exercises, such as Arbin or Clark, and how long have you been using them? Well, I've been studying out of the Robert Getchell Cornet Studies for over a year now, with a lot of on and off in between. Though I have worked out of the Clark Technical Studies and Colon Advanced Lip Flexibilities, so if that gives you any idea there. I honestly have not had the balls to pick up an Arbin and play that at all, though. Next question from this lad is, how much on average would you say that you practice per day? On a typical school day, I'd say about an hour on trumpet and trombone combined, so not that much. Maybe stretch that to an hour and a half, spread out over 2 to 3 intervals on weekends when I'm not playing outside of home. The final question within the serious category is a bit of an elaborate one. Do you structure your practice sessions? And if so, how in-depth do you choose to go? And do you structure them on a same stuff every day kind of basis? Or an X, Y, and Z must be done at some point on a weekly basis kind of way? Structuring practice sessions is a really weird process for me. I just wing a lot of it and just kind of make it up on the fly. Like, yesterday was flexibility day. The day before, I think, was articulation day. I'm pretty serious about honing in on particular skills, but I also sort of lack this I need to get X, Y, and Z done every week mindset, so I end up sometimes neglecting some skill sets. But essentially I do structure my practice sessions, but not as much as I really should be, basically. Now for his fun questions. Number 1 and 2 sort of go hand in hand. Number 1, if you could swap abilities with any player, i.e. you're playing as they're playing and theirs is yours, and experience life playing just like them for only one day, who would you choose and why? This was a hard one. Originally, Maurice André immediately popped into my mind, but then the thought occurred to me, oh wait, he's dead now. So I suppose I'd go with Christopher Coletti from the Canadian Brass, because he's just a phenomenal player. He makes everything sound unlabored and pretty much effortless. I'd love to be like him for a day. He's quite a charming guy as well. As for number 2, he asks, if this decision was for life, would you change your answer? The thing there is, nah, I'd stick to being Chris. Again, the last question under fun is a very hard one to answer. It's kind of elaborate. He asks, if you had to choose only one type of ensemble, such as a British brass band, a wind band, a big band, or an orchestra, or something along those lines, to play with from now until the day you die, what would it be and why? So I had to think long and hard about this one, and I came to the conclusion that if I had to choose only one, despite never having been in one, I'd go with a British type brass band because I love how the different parts are woven together, and I don't care what I'd be playing. E flat cornet, B flat cornet, trombone, euphonium, anything really. I'd love to play in a British brass band for really the rest of my time making music, so that's the answer I'd be giving. Mr. Andrew Ludwig left a comment on one of my other videos, but for whatever reason, it didn't show up. I believe it was something along the lines of, what kind of trumpet do you play? So, this trumpet here is another Yamaha. It is a YTR 8310 Bobby Shoe model. It's a custom design, and it's a very nice one for jazz. I love this as a jazz horn. The upper register is very free and open. Shakes are, I'm bad at shakes, but they're a lot easier on a trumpet like this than a lot of other trumpets. It's light as a feather, and its playing can be described the same way. It's got a very free and light tone, but it's also a pretty good symphonic horn. It'll definitely get you through, your youth symphony and stuff. And our final questions of the day come from Mr. Lopez. Number 1, how old are you? I'm 15 currently. I turned 15 back when I made the Happy Birthday multi-track, if you recall that, maybe a month and a half ago. And number 2, when did you start to play? Age 10. And he also asked, did you get your braces on afterwards? Yeah, I got them on at age 13, which was around when I was starting to take trumpet seriously. So that kind of screwed me over a little. Also from Mr. Lopez, the very last question of the many I received, why play so many instruments? You're so young, don't ruin your embouchure. Well, why? Because it's fun, and it really doesn't ruin your embouchure. Realistically, I play basically on 2 different mouthpieces, a trumpet 3C and a trombone 5G. These are my preferred mouthpieces. Sometimes I'll play on variants. For example, I play on the slightly more 3D instead of a 3C. It's a little more like a 3D, which is the Bobby Shoe mouthpiece that actually came with the Bobby Shoe horn. It's a good one for jazz. But, I mean, basically a 3C or a 3D and a 5G. If I were to play euphonium or baritone, typically I'd just stick my trombone mouthpiece in it if I were to play it for an extended period of time. Because these are my preferred mouthpieces, and really, what I end up with is a set of high chops and a set of low chops, basically, high brass and low brass. Even if I were to pick up a tuba or a horn every once in a while, it wouldn't completely screw my embouchure over. So with that, this whole Q&A is going to come to a close right here. It's going to be so long after I edit all the clips together, but if you made it all the way through, good on you. You need to find something better to do with your life, but I mean, I'm glad you could stay the whole way. So, thanks for watching, thanks for your questions, thanks a lot for 250 subscribers. Those subscribers, the fact that 250 people, now I think we're at like 260 something, but the fact that that many people would subscribe to a guy, just some weirdo 15-year-old who plays brass instruments on YouTube is just amazing to me. But with that said, I'll be logging off for now. Have a nice day, everyone.